All right, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. We are live back on the Andre Duke Show on Tuesday, March the 3rd. It is one of those fine days, but also, real quick, get this in and get this out. Go see our friends located in Portland, Heath and Rocky Williams at Williams Auto Parts. If you're looking for your new and used auto parts, Rocky and Heath can help you out. Located on South Detroit Avenue in Portland, Indiana, just off of Highway 27. Their phone number is 260-726-8001. Go see Rocky. Go see Heath if you guys are in the market for some new and used auto parts. Also, phone lines are open. Going to talk some decent topics tonight. Probably keep this at an hour. Keep it tight. If you guys want to call in, you can call in. Number to call, 260-255-4069 is the number to call. Just getting that out of the way. Appreciate everybody who's jumped in. Let me get the Indiana schedule pulled up. First things first, we're going to talk about, can the Hoosiers repeat? That is the big question. That is the question of the night. Or if you guys have a different topic that you guys want to go over, it's just something that we're going to leave open for debate. No Richie tonight. Appreciate everybody who's joining us, especially if you're watching on Twitter. Come on over to YouTube. Hold on. Getting that retweeted, but the phone line is open. Number to call, 260-255-4069. So, looking at the Hoosiers schedule, start off with North Texas. I would say North Texas replacing Eric Morris. Going to be interesting. Howard, Western Kentucky, and then the first Big Ten game they got is Northwestern coming to town. Northwestern's got to come in there. Also, tons of college hoops on tonight. If you want to call up and talk some college hoops, I'll be more than happy to talk with you about that as well. The tournament coming up, Bruce Pearl getting clapped back by the Miami of Ohio athletic director. I thought that was fascinating, to say the least. It just very interesting times. But after Indiana opens up with Northwestern, Rutgers, then their first big road test, they got to go on the road to Nebraska. I think Fox is anticipating that hopefully being a game of interest. Would have to look at the schedules for that week. Obviously, no game times announced and all of that fun stuff. But and then October 17th, I have this date circled for a reason. Ohio State comes to town for Indiana. I think that's going to be a fascinating draw. Also, games of note tonight on the 4-box. Only got one TV on tonight. We got Clemson up on North Carolina, Texas Tech taking on TCU. Got the Georgia, Alabama on, and I can't think of who the third one is, but I just stuffed another one in there. But the phone line is open if you want to call. Number to call, 260-255-4069. So, with all that being said, going to be quite a revenge game. Curt Cignetti 1-1 against Ryan Day and the Buckeyes. The Buckeyes had a lot of turnover, and then after Ohio State comes to town, that very next week, Indiana's got Michigan, Minnesota, USC comes to town, Washington, and then they end it with Purdue. Indiana's got a bit of a gauntlet there. They got Ohio State, Michigan, Minnesota, USC, Washington. I think it's going to be, if they can get unscathed through the Big Ten schedule, It's going to be hard pressed that they're not going to have a good chance to repeat. I'm just throwing that out there now. Very interesting stuff. Also, when it comes to some of the other topics that I was thinking about broaching tonight, there is a lot of buzz around Ole Miss's program. Pete Golding, I think there's a lot of anticipation to see if they can duplicate the success with the departure of Lane Kiffin. I was looking at LSU's schedule earlier today. I think that's going to be interesting for Kiffin going forward. There also the big thing is the NIL stuff. I think the NIL is fascinating to say the least, just for the simple fact of you have people that are everyday people kind of pissed off about some of the states making the NIL tax free. I know that's just going down in Mississippi. Heard some guys talk about that on MPW Digital. That's just kind of what it is. They're trying to get every advantage as possible down there because they're trying to make up the pay gap between the North and the South. I hate to say that, but that's kind of what it is. The Big Ten has a ton of corporate money injected into it, especially, the NIL deals, and especially Ohio State, Indiana, Michigan. They got deep pockets, and I think you're seeing that on the outside, because that's why the Big Ten's won the last 3 national championships, in my opinion. Deeper pockets, more draft picks out of the SEC, but at the end of the day, you can't stock your roster like you used to anymore. But also, just to let everybody know, phone lines are open if you want to call. Go ahead and call. Number to call, 260-255-4069 is the number to call. Also, Oklahoma, Missouri. Oklahoma up on Missouri. Georgia up. TCU and Texas Tech locking horns, and North Carolina Clemson. So a pretty good slate of college basketball on tonight. But I thought it was very interesting, some stuff that came out on CBS Sports today. Came out earlier in the day. Kirby Smart and Josh Heupel embracing. That's basically the headline of the article over there at CBS Sports. The 2014 playoff is fascinating to me. I don't know. There's a lot of ways you can go with it. I think this is going to be the story that dominates the offseason, to be completely honest, on if they can get this worked out. And Missouri hits a 3. Come on, Oklahoma, get it together. That's who we bet on. We took Oklahoma, we took Georgia, we took Clemson, and we took TCU in the points. So little college basketball action going on. But here's my thing with the 2014 playoff. If you're going to do the 2014 playoff, that's fine. You have to find out the revenue gap for the conferences not having the conference championship games. That's going to be the big storyline, in my opinion, going forward. I don't see how you don't, because I don't think the Big Ten or the SEC is going to be okay with losing those revenues at the end of the year, because those are huge money makers. Especially any conference tournament. Like the Big Ten tournament's going to make a ton of money in basketball. The SEC tournament in basketball is going to make a ton of money. And the conference championship games for football, sorry to say it, but if you get the right 2 teams in there, you're going to make a ton of money. Like when it's Alabama, Georgia, you're just printing money at that point, especially if it's in Atlanta. If it's Tennessee, Florida, printing money. it's major brands. It's the helmets. That's what a lot of it is. The ACC made, I don't think they made as much money by not having Clemson in it, but I think a lot of people that normally wouldn't go to a UVA game would show up there, showed up in Charlotte. So you got to think they have the SEC conference championship games typically in Atlanta. I don't think that's a bad spot. It's relatively centralized for their conference, just like the Big Ten is. Although I thought it was dumb last year when they had media days in Vegas. That was kind of a bizarre deal, but very interesting. And also the dogs right now jumping all over Alabama. Alabama out of sorts right now. So we'll see. But basically, from what I'm gathering, is the Big Ten wants all these automatic qualifiers for the tournament. And as somebody, I am anti-auto bid. I'm just going to put it out there. I don't like the auto bid. If you win your conference, that's fine. That's only 5 spots. But the rest of them, you can't guarantee a conference so many spots because they're trying to eliminate. The SEC went to the 9 conference games. That's going to eliminate a lot of the 6-2 angst, kind of like what they had last year. I think the tiebreakers will be a lot more cut and dry, but you cannot have, let's say you have 3 teams in the SEC that are 9-3 or 4 or 5 that end up 9-3. I think mathematically that'll work. But if they end up 9-3, you can't shut them out for a, let's say, is a 9-3 SEC team or Big Ten team better than the 4th best team in the Big 12? That's what you have to ask yourself. I don't think the competition is up to snuff in the Big 12 or the ACC. Technically, by the year before rules, I know I sound like a broken record, but Duke gets in the tournament. And I think a lot of what last year was, Indiana had the big win on the road against Oregon, and then it's like, whoa, look out for Indiana. And then everybody said, well, maybe Oregon's not that good. Well, when you shake it down and everything, when it comes down to it, Indiana goes and plays Ohio State in a tight Big Ten championship game, and Indiana pulls it out. It was a field goal game. Ohio State had an opportunity to win it, and they didn't. So they had to live with that. Also, just by looking at what it looks like at Oklahoma, a ton of fans dressed as empty seats as well. Also, just letting everybody know, phone line is open. If you want to call, go ahead and get your call in. Number is on the ticker below. Also, if you're new to the program, do us the biggest favor and hit that like and subscribe button. We normally do a call-in show 3 to 4 times a week, roll Monday through Saturday. Just depending, mostly Saturdays going forward will be more college baseball, college basketball heavy until, spring football gets after it and news coming out of there. I find a lot of it interesting. I just don't think that the Big Ten and the SEC they're not going to agree on the format. The formatting of the tournament is the problem. And also it doesn't help that ESPN owns the whole thing either. Do I think it should be broke up? I don't know. I think the native conference games, whoever has the conference game, they should allow that. But that's why ESPN is get the tournament expanded, because it's more games for their inventory going forward. That's all it kind of is, really. I don't think people quite grasp the TV concept of it, but it's very interesting. And I think that, going forward, I think that there's a lot to be said about that, to be completely honest. As I'm looking at it, some of the rules committee stuff came out. They want an offensive PI will now be a 10-yard penalty instead of a 15-yard penalty. It's whatever. I mean, the defensive PI is 15 yards. Why not just make them equal? But the one thing college football has done that I love is they have not made. Oh, what's up, Joe?
Hey, Andre, what's up?
How about St. Mary's, man?
Hey, did you watch them?
Oh yeah, they look good. They look good.
I'm telling you, they are something to see. Of course, I was talking about the point guard. I said I told you about those two big guys, but the point guard was actually the white guy, and he is the guy that's good at distributing. But that other guard went, what is his name, Ellis or something?
Yeah.
He went crazy on threes.
Yeah.
He put the game out of reach, you know.
I hate to be this guy, but that's the first like actual home game I've sat down and watched and paid attention to St. Mary's. I did not realize that gym was that small. It's like a banjo box in there.
Yeah, they're not one of the major colleges, that's for sure.
Because I was looking at that and I was like, that crowd is right on top of you, and it was packed in there and people were going nuts, especially in the second half.
Yeah. Well, it's just such a rivalry, you know.
Oh yeah,
it's a very good rivalry. And in fact, did you see where they showed that these guys have played in their championship more than Duke and North Carolina?
Yeah,
they've met in the final.
Yeah,
pretty insane.
Oh yeah, I didn't realize that they had that much that there was that much animosity between Gonzaga and St. Mary's. I always knew it was kind of a rivalry that, every time Gonzaga would be like 21 or 22-0, St. Mary's would come in there and they would beat him by like 5 to 10 points, and it's like that doesn't make any sense, especially at their place. Now that I watched it, I mean, the people at St. Mary's really get up in the Bay Area for that game.
Yeah. So, yeah, they well, they're trying to get some kind of, they've been good for a pretty long time, but it's just that they don't get the national coverage. They get it at late at night for ESPN. Will cover it at games started like 10 or 11 o'clock,
Oh yeah. They got
so you don't.
Oh, go ahead, Joe.
I was just going to say, so you don't probably get to see them as often if you're from other parts of the country, but when their games start, it's like prime time here. It's like 8 o'clock or whatever.
Yeah, because that game did not tip off until like 11:15.
Right.
and which, I mean, I've always, especially whenever they had the Pac-12, you could always watch Cal. You would always have Mountain West games at night if you stayed up late enough. Like Oregon would be in a primetime spot. Pac-12 after dark.
Back when college was fun to watch football, you had a full day from, well, for the East or for the West Coast, our games start at 9 a.m. and then ends at your time. The games are come on at 10 and 11 o'clock at night.
Oh yeah. It's
like a full day.
It's always a full day because we go from noon to a little bit after midnight. And I do think the West Coast bias is real because typically a lot of people turn off the they switch to something else. They flip the dial on the TV to go to whether it's linear TV or they go to streaming to watch something on Netflix or what have you. I always
sports is a tough thing to wind down on, so you want to watch something that's going to mellow you out to go to sleep,
right?
And you watch sports and it's like, the TV's bright, and the voices are loud.
Oh yeah,
So it makes it tougher to watch as you go to bed.
Oh yeah, I totally get that, but I think St. Mary's had a good showing. I guess I'll
I don't
ask.
even think they're in the top 20 though. Were they even in? I don't even think they showed them in the top 25. That's crazy to me.
No, they weren't ranked. Also, I was going to ask you, since you called. Good thing you called. Did you see the Bruce Pearl comments?
Chris who?
Bruce Pearl, former.
No. Oh no.
So
No.
In which I get what he's doing. He is still getting paid by Auburn technically as an ambassador. And so he has, I believe it's CBS, he has a spot where he does TV and he goes in and basically says if Miami of Ohio, that's undefeated right now, if they do not win their conference tournament, they don't deserve a bid to get into the tournament.
And was Bruce Pearl at Michigan State? Am I thinking of the same guy?
No, Bruce Pearl was at he was at Tennessee, and then he had to go to like Southern Indiana while he was dealing with the NCAA stuff, and then he ended up at Auburn and turned their program around.
Okay.
Because his son's on the bubble.
Who's the guy? I might be thinking about the football head coach, Pearl. I thought he was at Michigan State at some point.
I don't believe so.
That might be earlier, before your time.
Yeah. But Bruce Pearl was the head coach at Tennessee when he had Tennessee rolling, and then he got fired over some NCAA stuff. And he ended up getting let go. He had to go to like Southern Indiana for a period of time, and then he lands the Auburn job. And he turned Auburn around, and then he abruptly retired in like June or July. There was a lot of speculation on if he was going to run for Senate down there, and he didn't end up doing it. But so he doesn't run for Senate, but they give his son the job.
Thank God.
Yeah, they give his son.
I mean, these ex-coaches and players are running for politics is just crazy. They know nothing about it. They just have a name. So the party says, yeah, come on, run for it. You'll win.
Yeah, and
they know nothing.
I think he flirted with it it would give him an excuse to retire. Does that make sense?
Yeah, he's pretty up there now.
And
I mean, if he's an ambassador,
yeah,
and he does television, I mean,
so he gets paid by Auburn still to be an ambassador, and he was basically lobbying for the NCAA or the tournament committee to basically, if Miami of Ohio loses, they shouldn't get in. But the Miami of Ohio AD came back at him. I thought that was interesting.
What'd they say?
To say the least. I'm trying to pull up his comments now because it made national news.
Yeah, I heard something about it, but I wasn't interested enough in the teams to look into it.
So I'll read it. ESPN.
You're a sports freak, Duke, so you go for every.
Yeah. Well, when you're throwing an hour of content together a night, especially in the off season of football, you're trying to scrape the bottom of the barrel here. But yeah. I do think this is interesting. So ESPN came out with an article, Myron Metcalf, Miami, and I'll read it to you. Miami, Ohio athletic director David Slaughter challenged Bruce Pearl over what he called disrespect after a TV commentator and former Auburn coach told Barstool Sports, I don't have my glasses on, Barstool Sports, that an undefeated Miami Redhawks team did not deserve a spot in the NCAA tournament without an automatic bid. They couldn't handle a Power 4 schedule. Basically, he says they would finish in the bottom half of the Big East, is what he said. And then the Miami of Ohio athletic director said, "You're flat out wrong about Miami of Ohio when you say we would finish last in the Big East. The disrespect is awful. You should not be near a TV studio covering the sport when you show
Wow.
your true colors." So
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good retaliation.
and then
But you know what? I mean, if you're allowed, what is it, a 64 team format? If they're undefeated, I can't imagine they can't be in the upper half of the entire basketball, Division One and Division Two that can get in.
right.
Kind of, with undefeated season. I mean, come on. Even if you lose one game, of course, it's worse to lose at the end. But
and then also they kind of slip it in and say, after he says, letting your true colors show, even slipped in, "We are talking about Auburn. Nice work," is what he said. So
and another thing you have to look at, Duke, is who did they play? I mean, did they beat good teams?
I could pull up their schedule and see if they got any Power 4 wins, but typically in the college basketball landscape, the last couple of years, um the how do I want to say it? The mid majors have had a tough time scheduling.
Is
As
that
I'm
right?
looking at it, I don't see any teams of note. But they beat pretty much everybody. They beat everybody they played. They had no Power 4 teams on their schedule. So
None.
none. The biggest school that they played was Old Dominion, but you got to remember, I think Miami of Ohio's taken the stance with a lot of the mid majors is they're not doing bye games in basketball anymore.
They're not doing what games?
Bye games, to where we'll pay you, we'll give you a check for $200,000 and we'll come slaughter you.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like what they do in football with the FCS schools. Like,
well, I got to say, that Miami of Ohio, unless you schedule you got to, in a season, you got to schedule at least, I would say, at least two teams in the Power 4. I mean, if you get embarrassed, then that's the hard knocks of it. But
well, typically,
you don't have much to claim if you don't play anybody.
Traditionally, Miami of Ohio would have, the Ohio State on the schedule, and Ohio State hasn't been scheduling MAC schools, only ones that they know they can beat, because,
right.
I mean, take Notre Dame basketball, for instance. The city I live in has Purdue Fort Wayne. It's basically a commuter college. They have a campus, but it's a satellite school. It used to be IPFW, is Indiana Purdue Fort Wayne, right? So it's just now Purdue Fort Wayne. Purdue took the Fort Wayne campus. Indiana took the Indianapolis campus because they had IUPUI. It was the University of Indianapolis, Indiana, Purdue. And I know that's a lot that's a lot of words there, but
yeah, I get it.
So Indiana takes the Indianapolis campus and Purdue takes the Fort Wayne campus, and of course they cut sports because who the president of Purdue is. I could go on a 2-day tangent on that one, on why he sucks out loud. But anyway, that's why Purdue sucks at pretty much everything they do. And they can't win because Mitch
Fort
Daniels.
Wayne's a pretty good market, too.
And yeah, Fort Wayne's a pretty decent market. So anyway, this year, typically on it for face value, Purdue Fort Wayne would typically they're on like a rotation. 1 year they'll play Purdue, 1 year they'll play Indiana, the next year they play Notre Dame. Well, they beat Notre Dame this year in basketball.
Yeah.
And
that's not saying much.
under zero circumstances that should not happen.
Well, I'll tell you what, Shrewsbury is, I didn't think anybody, I thought Digger Phelps was terrible. And then Mike Bray was worse. And now Shrewsbury's proving to be worse than him. So, my thoughts on Notre Dame basketball is just, it's dismal at best.
Well,
they're just
Digger
terrible coaches.
he had the big win against UCLA, and
UCLA.
that bought him a long time. Now,
Yeah, back in 1974 or something like that. They had Austin Carr and John Shoemate, and that's why they won. But that's the last time. Well, no, actually, they had one good year. I want to think about who it was. They had.
Was it the year with Mike Bray and Luke Herringody, the big redheaded forward they had?
No, I'm thinking like John Paxson and Bill Lambier and what's that other forward that was really good? They had like
Bill Lambier went to
4
Notre
out
Dame.
of 5. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Bill Lambier and I just had his name and it just escaped me.
Yeah.
But it was kind of like, yeah, go back to that. But that's when the last time they were good. They had one year against Kentucky. They made it, and if they got there, they would have made the Final Four. And this is within the last probably 8 years or so. So it was Bray, but he had such a really good team that Kentucky got all the calls. It was just the most ridiculous game to watch ever. But Kentucky is a name brand, and that's what I'm worried about with all these conferences. It's like their refs favor the top teams, and that's just all there is to it. And so it's disappointing because it's going to be even more so that way when you watch these other teams that are mid-level, like you say, and they wind up having a really good year, but because they play a top team, they're going to have the refs call it. For me, in my opinion, this is just from years of watching. Even before there were all these crazy conferences and other, when there were so many independents and things, it was like, it was a better game in every way, almost every sport back when there wasn't this money involved in these conference championships and all this crap, it's taken the whole competitive spirit out of, just let these guys play, if they're better this day, then they're better this day.
Here's my opinion on it. I think officiating is bad across the board, whether it's football,
it is.
Basketball, because there was some horrendous calls this year. And I think a lot of people forget where these big conferences get their officials. And then whenever you do get a good official, the NFL comes and takes them. That's what happens. The NFL, I think 2 years ago, they took 6 or 7 officials from college football. And I don't think the officiating is even any better in the NFL because of what they're doing
I agree.
With the replay system. I guess they're gonna. It's on the table with the competition committee that they're gonna allow them to throw flags from the replay booth, and we're gonna be at games for hours. Here's my thing.
Not only that, but
in football, you could call holding on every play,
right?
Regardless, you can call holding no matter what. And it's just like at some point we've got to, like, for the longest time in the NFL, they didn't know what a catch was. Was it 2 feet plus ball control? It can hit the ground. It can do this. It can do that. And it's just like he either caught the damn thing or he didn't. Let's just get some uniform rules here.
And now the newest thing is to worry about is targeting because it's so subjective.
Well, I think they're
actually going to make it where targeting is somehow it's going to be more acceptable by the tweaking of the rule. I think they're going to allow more of a chance for injuries because they're going to go easier on the targeting thing. They don't want to, or maybe it's the amount of time suspended or something like that. But either way, that's a very subjective call.
Oh yeah, targeting is all about interpretation. It's all about what you think of it. It's basically your opinion at that time going forward. Because I look at it as that there's been several times that they've called targeting in college football to where the ball carrier lowers his head, and what's the defender supposed to do?
Right.
And it changes the outcome of games. It affects kids because if they get called for targeting, they're out for the rest of that game and the first half of the next game. So technically, they lose a whole they lose a whole 4 quarters of film.
Yeah,
is what they do if they're trying to go to the NFL.
Yeah, that's the one that for me is going to be the most, subjective. That even with their replay, they don't get those right, and it's like, wait, what are you guys all thinking? Because sometimes it's like such a bad call that it was targeting, and then there's other times where it's like that wasn't targeting. So it's like, it's totally subjective, and how do you get around it? You just, I don't know. You just got to have belief that the refs are doing their best, and it's like, if that's your best, man, this has got to be a total overhaul.
Yeah, the rule system is it's when you leave everything up to judgment, it makes it really tough to get concrete rules hammered out. It's just like the targeting, it's like traveling in basketball. It's like
right. My gosh.
And my thing is that if you're going to be bad, just be consistent. I think if anybody
I think they are doing that. I think they are consistently bad. I'm not even it's not even a joke.
If anybody has any gripe, I know this is going to sound a little short-sighted, but if anybody really has any gripe about officiating, it should be Auburn fans, because they got hosed twice this year that stick out in my mind like a sore thumb. One time at Oklahoma, the wide receiver got tackled going into the end zone to try to catch a pass, and the official was watching the ball and not the players. And then the Jackson Arnold touchdown that was ruled, he fumbled it even though he broke the plane, but you couldn't see the plane because there was bodies in the way.
Yeah, and the announcers always agree with the refs. They're not gonna, I don't know. To me, Notre Dame got the worst of the calls this year because of that last play where Notre Dame had the lead until the last play of the game against Texas A&M, and their defensive tackle literally got tackled. He was coming free, and he beat his guy, and the guy just tackled him.
Yeah.
And so Texas A&M on 4th and goal from the 11 has enough time to make a pass and make a catch and win the game on the last play. It's like, that to me was the difference of Notre Dame not making the playoffs. I mean, they had the 2 best running backs in the country. How do you leave a team like that out?
And
I'll just never get over this last year.
And I think that's one of the things as a whole, as a totality, whether it's college basketball, whether it's college football. I think that because in the tournament, the SEC is officiated different than the ACC. The ACC is officiated different than the Big Ten. And I think the Big East is officiated different than all of them. And then you go to
and the Pac-12 when the Pac-12 was there, it was really bad. They were horrible.
Oh yeah, you couldn't touch anybody.
It's just crazy. I mean, I don't know. I mean, how do you have to just put up with it, grin and bear it. It's like these guys are incompetent, and you just hope that they won't do something to cause the difference of the game. And yet that happens.
It happens sometimes, but also in a more positive note, I have found a graphic for the conferences with the most Final Four appearances in the last 25 years. I thought this was interesting. The ACC leads the way.
Final Four of basketball.
Yep. The
Okay.
ACC leads the way with 20. The Big Ten was 17. The Big East with 15. SEC 14.
Wow.
Big 12 13. The Pac-12 had 6. Conference USA 4. The WCC, the American, the Ohio Valley Horizon, and the CAA all with 2, and the Mountain West with 1. So I think those are interesting stats over the last 25 years of college basketball. I think
I'm surprised that the Big East is still viable. They were pretty high up there in numbers.
Well, they got UConn.
They're good, but I mean, that's really what they have. But
I mean, UConn, Seton Hall, Providence. Those are a lot of programs that I think if they
is St. John's also?
Huh?
Is St. John's Big East?
Yep, St. John's. It's basically all the core Big East schools that were basketball only that are still there.
Right.
To me,
is Villanova?
Yep, Villanova's
Big East. Yeah.
Seton Hall. I think if those Big East schools could get on the page in fundraise, they could raise some money to build some decent rosters. I think.
Yeah.
I think they really could.
No, I'm surprised. It's when I think of the Big East, I always think it got disbanded, but I guess that was just football.
Yeah, just
so basketball is still quite a power. I mean, if you got that one coach Hurley, right, from Connecticut.
Yeah. His brother Bobby is at Arizona State. A lot of speculation. Bobby Hurley, the great Duke guard.
Yes.
A lot of speculation.
He went to the Sacramento Kings, I think.
Yeah.
He got hurt.
Yeah.
That's where he got out. Yeah.
That was back.
I was up in Sacramento at the time.
Oh yeah, that was back when the Kings were red, white, and blue before they changed to this to be desirable color scheme that they have now.
Yeah.
I'm just not.
I think they used to be the Kansas City Royals.
Yeah, I think there was something like that because they moved them up to Sacramento, and they got a whole interesting deal up there in Sacramento, which I thought it was strange. I thought that they were going to be one of the teams I think the NBA, this is my opinion. I know we're totally off the rails here, but
yeah,
I think the NBA is looking to they're looking to get into the Seattle market again. I think they're going to put a team back in Seattle.
That was crazy to get rid of him. I mean, that's a town that could definitely support basketball.
Well, the guy that they sold the Seahawks, or not the Seahawks, but the guy they sold the Sonics to, his sports group was called Oklahoma Sports or something like that. And as soon as he could, he moved the team to Oklahoma City, in which, to his defense, Oklahoma City has taken in the Thunder. They have, in my opinion, done a heck of a job with supporting the Thunder. I know a lot of Sonics fans don't want to hear that, but I think it's a whale of a job that they've done to support the team and keep the team there. What's
that major retail coffee chain? They're from Seattle, aren't they? They should buy them, or they should just put up enough money to expand back into Seattle.
Well,
what is that coffee company? They're huge. They're everywhere.
Starbucks?
Yeah. They're out of. I think they originate out of Seattle.
Here's where, because there's a lot of speculation, because there's a couple teams that haven't, I don't think, re-upped their lease yet. I think the Grizzlies is one. I think the Pelicans are another one that they haven't re-upped their stadium lease yet.
Yeah,
I don't know.
and I think Minnesota is also one that has a hard time because basketball is played through the winters, and it's like you try and get people out to a arena in minus 40.
Well,
It's a pretty big ask.
they were going to sell the Timberwolves. The guy that owns the Timberwolves was going to sell them to a sports group headed up by Alex Rodriguez and a couple other people. Well, they gave him
Yeah.
they gave out their business plan to where they were going to scrap the team and sell off the parts and be bad for a while. And he's like, "No, we've took too long to build this. We're not scrapping it, and you ain't got the money, so we're not selling it to you," because they were having issues raising the funds to acquire the team, which is fine. But I don't think moving an existing franchise to Seattle is going to satisfy the people there, because I would say the people that own Oklahoma City would give back the Supersonics name. I would think they would, in good faith, because the old owner of the Seahawks said that he had a handshake deal that he wasn't moving the team, and then the first chance he got, he moved the team. So
right.
I think in all reality, I think the NBA will expand to 32, and I think that'll reshuffle the conferences, because I think if they put two teams out west, although I think they want to, people think I'm crazy, but I think they want to put a team in Nashville, which will piss off the Grizzlies.
That would be, I don't know. Is the market there? I mean, can they support two?
It's either they're going to put a team.
The thing about
I think Seattle is.
I think you need to have more. Like you have Portland, you need somebody else up in Seattle. You have two LA teams at least, and you got Arizona. I mean, you can do a West Coast trip and just go up and down the coast that way.
I think.
I don't know. I would have been pretty annoyed if I was a Seattle fan to just there's your team up and gone,
And then finally wins a championship after you were starved for it forever. I think what the low key, the NBA's low key idea is they're waiting on LeBron to retire, because I think it's down to Vegas and Nashville, because Vegas is giving out all these insane tax breaks for these sports teams. Although the local people don't want them there, which I think are not so much the local people, but it's the politicians. The mayor of Vegas right now has openly tried to deny the athletics deal. She's been against it from the beginning. She wasn't thrilled when the Raiders came. She didn't like it when they put the WNBA team there. So I think they'll put a team in Vegas. I think you'll get a Vegas team and a team in Seattle. I think they'll scrap the Nashville idea. And then they'll move Minnesota. They'll move Minnesota and Memphis into the East, and you'll have 32 teams, and it'll be able to balance out and all that fun stuff. But I don't know what they're going to do with the Pelicans, because they are not ran very well. I know that from firsthand experience. I've heard a lot about how bad the Pelicans are ran. So realistically, I'm not shocked that things aren't going well.
It must be new ownership, because when they were the Jazz, that's when they were good.
No. The Pelicans were the Hornets. Remember?
No, but I'm saying, but that's the Utah Jazz was actually down in Louisiana.
New Orleans. First. Yeah,
the New Orleans Jazz, and that's where that was a good team. They had some pretty good years, but I think it must be new management, and then they moved them.
They had some good years out in Utah, but I just think that I just think that I don't know, the NBA is it's real finicky. I feel like Adam Silver hates the product. It's not very visible. You got to buy all this extra stuff to watch it. And like, I live in Indiana, and I can't watch.
I think he knows where the bodies are buried, and that's why they gave him the commissioner job. Because David Stern was as corrupt as they come.
No.
Did you ever watch that television show called Vice?
Yeah, I've seen some of their stuff. Are you talking about the Tim Donaghy?
I'm sorry,
thing?
the channel. I'm sorry, it's a channel, and it's called Vice.
Is this about the Tim Donaghy stuff?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I've read a lot of.
He started getting involved with some guy that was like just outside of the mafia, but worked with them. And all of a sudden, this guy was like forced into making. And then he wound up coming out and saying how it was a prerogative that Stern and Rod Thorne, who later became from the Bulls, he went to the NBA to be director of referees or something like that, director of operations for referees. He oversaw the referee.
Oh
and
yeah.
So it's like that's when Jordan was like the king of everything, because Stern saw that he was going to have to take over for Magic and Bird. And so he actually, this is as a referee saying that we got the message down from the top of what we wanted and who we wanted to have win. Oh. He actually was saying it flat out.
Oh yeah, Donaghy said that they used to. There was one official that they had, that they would talk to, that they would have him do. They called him the extender. He was a real old guy. I can't think of what his name was, but Tim Donaghy he openly says that, like, if you ask him, be like, yeah, that guy was the extender. The NBA would call him in whenever they needed a series extended. That's what they would do.
Exactly.
So
that's why it's like, this is how come I have such a hard time with what the games are all have all become. Is that the referees are going to be now deciding, like they have such an important part, and their whole purpose is to be as invisible as possible.
Yes.
And yet, like that's not the case. Like that's always a crucial part of what the outcomes are in this day and age,
Do you know?
And it's just horrible. It's taking all the competition and the athleticism and it's saying, screw you. You don't. Doesn't matter.
This will be my last thing, and we'll fold up shop here, Joe. When it came to the officials, I had somebody that I knew that was a retired NAIA official. He refereed football, used to live by me. And I asked him one day, I said, why is it with the officials, you can't criticize them, you have the Tim Donaghy stuff out there and all that? And he went down to the, this, and this. But he said where the broadcast messed up was when they started, the NFL specifically did this. When the NFL started creating personalities out of referees and they started putting them on TV, that's where they messed this up. That's where the ego comes from. Now, baseball is a whole different animal because they have an umpires union, and like there was bad MLB officials or umpires.
But I like that's the only sport I now am getting more respect for because of the way they've changed. The balls and strikes are now showing on computer.
Yeah.
And you can challenge. I think that's a cool thing.
I think last thing I got, but I think Major League Baseball recognized that they had such a big problem to where they did something to fix it. I think the NFL, they are so naive to say that they are too big to where it doesn't matter what they do. That's what I think it comes.
Well, another good thing that baseball did is on the timer,
Yeah.
So the game is really sped up. It was really too long. You could take your step out of the batter's box after every single pitch and adjust yourself. And, you're taking 30 seconds, 40 seconds at a time. I remember Thurman Munson for the Yankees because that was my favorite player of all time. And he used to step out all the time. Like he tweaked his wristbands, and he, just did all this with his helmet, and like he just made you wait.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But that's speeding up the game is a good thing.
Oh yeah. I guess we're almost at an hour. Joe, you got anything else before I let you go? Before I wrap up the show?
No, my friend. No, you take care, and we'll talk to you again, I'm sure.
All right. Sounds good, Joe. Have a good one, buddy.
See ya.
Bye. That was Joe, longtime listener of the show. Appreciate him, his commentary. That is something that we do here. If nobody calls, hey, the floor is yours, and we'll talk about whatever you want. Yeah, I think the Tim Donaghy stuff is fascinating. I don't know where some people are going to get off the boat on that. Some people say Donaghy's a liar, that he's this, that. And I think at the end of the day, he was in the room when some of that stuff was getting done. And I think at some point, you can't discount what he says. Now, do I think Stern knew more than what he let on? I absolutely think that. I mean, David Stern obviously not with us, but it's very, very, it's a very touchy topic, especially when it comes to the Jordan stuff. It's an interesting ordeal, to say the least. But like I've retained, we're getting ready to get out of here, but like I've retained, there is very, very, the officiating across the board is just tough. I get it. The guy's bigger, faster, stronger now, and it just doesn't add up, because I'll say in college that it doesn't help the NFL takes your best guys. And at the end of the day, that's just kind of what it is. And plus, I think the NFL pays more. Just watch the game, and in the bad calls, it makes me believe him. Oh, yeah. Oh, we got a barn burner here. Clemson down 1 to North Carolina. Is North Carolina going to get it across? Oh, they got to foul them. That's what we need. We got Clemson plus 3.5 here, so we're very, very intently watching the end of this, because even if he hits the 2 shots, we're still good. We're still in the cover zone. But yeah, I think the Tim Donaghy stuff, I think when you go back and do a history dive, do I think the whole story with Tim Donaghy will come out? Do I think other officials were in on it? I don't know. It makes you wonder. That's like the NFL when they had the replacement refs in there. They had guys that had placed bets on the Saints that did the game. I believe one guy did, and he couldn't ref. So I don't know. I find it fascinating, to say the least. 12 seconds left. UNC hits it. What do we got left? So excuse me. I had to sneeze there. I was hoping this UNC game would be over quicker, just so I can get the cover by Clemson, legendary cover. Virginia Wake Forest 3-point game. That's interesting. So yeah, we'll see. North Carolina just barely looks like they're going to eke one out, unless Clemson hits a 3. Even though I got the Clemson on tonight. 6 seconds. Ooh, boy. Oklahoma taking it to Missouri. 2 minutes left. Oklahoma 13-point lead. Not the ideal year for Oklahoma, to say the least. Not ideal. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at. I guess we'll see. We'll see if Clemson can pull this off. But yeah, phone line is closed. We'll see this last sequence. Oh no, a little miscommunication here. I'm wondering if Clemson ain't gonna hold it for the last shot. I think that's your best bet. Is North Carolina gonna press them? No, they don't. So Clemson gets it across. Clemson giving him a score. Okay, what's the strategy here? The strategy is very interesting. Three-point game, 10 seconds left. You got to draw up your best out-of-bounds play. Or do you inbound it, clear it out, and let your best player take the shot? Also very key here, possession arrow, drive and kick out the three. Here's my thing. I think North Carolina, if he's smart, he'll nail their guys to the 3-point line, because if they get to the basket, you almost don't have enough time, because it would be a 1-point game if they're going to let them have the cup. Oh, good shots of Roy Williams there. Yeah, just looking at all the names in the rafters at UNC. I will say that is impressive. A lot of names up there. Fouls to give. No, they're both in the double bonus. 24, 57, 82, 93, 05, 09, 17. Nope, both in the double bonus, Joe. Clemson out of timeouts. North Carolina's got one. Jamie Dixon at Texas Tech trying to hold on to one. Got to look for the ball. Got to get it in. 8. Nope. Oh, don't tell me I'm going to lose the cover on a foul shot. Don't tell me I'm going to lose the cover on a foul shot. Hopefully this kid is smart enough to just throw it off the rim. Spurs crushing the Sixers. Oh, no. This is going to be... The cover was in the bag. It was in the bag. And it's done. So there's that. Everybody have a good night. We just lost one of the bets for tonight. Everybody have a good night. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Phone lines will be open, and we will talk to you then. Have a good night, everybody.